Are you ready to land your dream job as a Spring Boot developer? Or is the technical interview standing in your way? In this video, we will cover Spring Boot developer interview questions and answers masterclass. Ace your next Java backend interview with this comprehensive guide to Spring Boot developer interview questions. In this video, we dive deep into 30 essential Spring Boot interview questions covering everything from auto configuration and dependency injection to Actuator, security, and microservices architecture. We don't just give you the answers. We explain the why behind them to ensure you actually master the concepts. Make sure to grab a notebook, and let's see how many of these you can answer correctly. What is the primary purpose of the Spring Boot application annotation? Option A. To define a REST controller. Option B. To mark a class as a configuration class and trigger auto configuration and component scanning. Option C. To enable Spring Data JPA repositories. Option D. To specify the server port for the application. The correct answer is B. The Spring Boot application annotation is a convenience annotation that combines three others. @configuration tags the class as a source of bean definitions. @enable auto configuration tells Spring Boot to start adding beans based on class path settings. And @component scan tells Spring to look for other components, configurations, and services in the package. Where does Spring Boot look for the Spring Factories file to load auto configuration classes? Option A. src main resources config. Option B. meta-inf Spring Factories. Option C. web-inf Spring Factories. Option D. The root of the class path. The correct answer is B. Spring Boot checks for a meta-inf Spring Factories file within your published jar. This file contains a list of configuration classes under the Enable Auto Configuration key. This is the mechanism that allows Spring Boot to automatically configure beans based on the libraries it finds on the class path. What is the recommended way to inject dependencies in Spring Boot for mandatory dependencies? Option A. Field injection. Option B. Setter injection. Option C. Constructor injection. Option D. Interface injection. The correct answer is C. Constructor injection is the recommended approach for mandatory dependencies. It allows the beans to be immutable. Fields can be final, and ensures that the bean is never instantiated in an uninitialized state. It also makes unit testing easier as you don't need a reflection-based mock injector. Which annotation is used to define a custom query in a Spring Data JPA repository? Option A. @SQL. Option B. @query. Option C. @native. Option D. @select. The correct answer is B. The @query annotation allows you to write either JPQL, Java Persistence Query Language, or native SQL queries directly above the method definition in a repository interface. This provides flexibility when the standard method name-based query generation is insufficient. Which Actuator endpoint provides health information about the application? Option A. Metrics. Option B. Info. Option C. Health. Option D. ENV. The correct answer is C. The health endpoint is the most commonly used Actuator endpoint. It provides a simple status up, down, and can be configured to show detailed information about database connectivity, disk space, and other infrastructure health indicators. How can you activate a specific Spring profile named prod via the command line? Option A. Spring profiles active equals prod. Option B. Profile equals prod. Option C. Dactive profile equals prod. Option D. env equals prod. The correct answer is A. Spring Boot allows you to externalize configuration by passing Spring profiles active equals prod as a command line argument. Spring will load application prod properties or application prod.iml in addition to the default configuration files. What is the difference between at-rest controller and at-controller? Option A. At-rest controller can only return XML. Option B. At-rest controller is a combination of at-controller and at-response body. Option C. At-controller is used for REST APIs only. Option D. There is no difference. The correct answer is B. At-rest controller is a specialized version of at-controller, while at-controller is typically used to return views, like HTML. At-rest controller ensures that the return value of every method is automatically serialized into the response body, usually as JSON or XML, instead of looking for a template. Which annotation is used to handle exceptions globally across the whole application? Option A. At-exception handler. Option B. At-error controller. Option C. At-controller advice. Option D. At-global error. The correct answer is C. At-controller advice is an interceptor that allows you to apply common logic, like exception handling, data binding, or model attributes, to all controllers within a class annotated with at-controller advice. You use at-exception handler methods to catch specific exceptions. Which annotation is used to bind external configuration properties to a Java object? Option A. At-value. Option B. At-property source. Option C. At-configuration properties. Option D. At-environment. The correct answer is C. At-configuration properties provides a way to bind a group of related properties, e.g., all properties starting with app security to a POJO. It supports relaxed binding and is more structured and type-safe than using the at-value annotation. In Spring Security, what is the role of the security context holder? Option A. To encrypt passwords in the database. Option B. To store the details of the currently authenticated user. Option C. To manage JWT token generation. Option D. To configure the login page URL. The correct answer is B. The security context holder is where Spring Security stores the details of who is authenticated. By default, it uses a thread local to store these details, which means that the security context is always available to methods in the same thread of execution, even if you don't explicitly pass it around. Which annotation is used for testing the web layer without starting the full HTTP server? Option A. At Spring Boot test. Option B. At WebMVC test. Option C. At DataJPA test. Option D. At REST client test. The correct answer is B. At Web MVC test focuses only on the Spring MVC components. It doesn't start a full server. Instead, it provides a mock MVC instance to test your controllers. This makes the tests much faster than at Spring Bootist, which loads the entire application context. Which method is called after all bean properties have been set but before the bean is ready for use? Option A, onComplete. Option B, after properties set. Option C, predestroy. Option D, onStart. The correct answer is B. If a bean implements initializing bean, the after properties set method is called. Alternatively, a method annotated with at postConstruct will achieve the same result. This is used for initialization logic that requires the bean's dependencies to be already injected. What does the dirty checking feature in Hibernate JPA do? Option A. It deletes corrupt data from the database. Option B. It automatically detects changes to entities and synchronizes them with the database during a transaction commit. Option C. It validates if the database schema is correct. Option D. It checks for SQL injection attacks. The correct answer is B. Dirty checking is a mechanism where the persistence provider, like Hibernate, tracks changes made to an entity within a transaction. When the transaction is committed, Hibernate automatically updates the database with those changes. So you don't need to explicitly call a save or update method. What is the primary benefit of including Spring Boot DevTools in your project? Option A. It optimizes the application for production. Option B. It provides automatic application restarts whenever files on the class path change. Option C. It generates API documentation automatically. Option D. It adds a graphical user interface to the application. The correct answer is B. DevTools provides features that make the development process smoother. Its most popular feature is automatic restart. When you change a file and recompile, DevTools detects the change and restarts the application context very quickly by using two class loaders. What is a starter in Spring Boot? Option A. A class that contains the main method. Option B. A set of convenient dependency descriptors you can include in your application. Option C. A tool to generate a project structure. Option D. A script to start the server. The correct answer is B. Starters are essentially a set of pre-configured dependencies. For example, Spring Boot Starter Web includes all the necessary libraries to build a web application, like Spring MVC, Tomcat, and Jackson, in one single dependency, reducing manual configuration. Which HTTP method is considered idempotent? Option A, post. Option B, put. Option C, patch, non-idempotent by default. Option D, connect. The correct answer is B. An idempotent operation is one that has no additional effect if it is called more than once with the same input parameters. Get, put, and delete are idempotent. Post is typically not idempotent because multiple post requests usually result in multiple resource creations. What is the purpose of CSRF protection in Spring Security? Option A. To prevent cross-site scripting. XSS. Option B. To prevent unauthorized commands from being transmitted from a user that the web application trusts. Option C. To encrypt data sent between client and server. Option D. To manage user session timeouts. The correct answer is B. CSRF. Cross-site request forgery. Protection ensures that a request is intentionally sent by the authenticated user. It usually involves a unique token that the server generates and the client must include in any state-changing request, post, put, delete. In the context of Spring Cloud, what is Eureka used for? Option A. API Gateway. Option B. Service Discovery. Option C. Circuit Breaker. Option D. Distributed Logging. The correct answer is B. Netflix Eureka is a service registry. In a microservices environment, service instances can have dynamic IP addresses. Eureka allows services to register themselves and discover other services without hardcoding their locations. How do you enable all Actuator endpoints over HTTP in application properties? Option A. Management. Endpoints.web. Exposure. Include equals asterisk. Option B. Endpoints.all. Enabled equals true. Option C. Actuator. Exposure equals full. Option D. Spring. Actuator. Include equals all. The correct answer is A. By default, only health and info are exposed over HTTP for security reasons. To expose others like beans, env, or mappings, you must use the property management, endpoints.web, exposure, include. The asterisk acts as a wildcard to include all. What is a join point in aspect-oriented programming, AOP? Option A. A point in the execution of the program where an aspect can be applied. Option B. A specific type of dependency injection. Option C. The result of a database query. Option D. The place where two microservices meet. The correct answer is A. A join point represents a specific point in the application where you can plug in AOP aspect logic. In Spring AOP, this always represents a method execution. The code that executes at the join point is called advice. Which annotation is used to extract values from the URL path, e.g., users id? Option A, at request param. Option B, at path variable. Option C, at query param. Option D, at URL value. The correct answer is B. At path variable is used to bind a URI template variable to a method parameter. For example, in users id, at path variable id will extract the value from the URL and pass it to the controller method. What is the purpose of the at transactional annotation? Option A. To convert an object into JSON. Option B. To define the scope of a database transaction. Option C. To create a new thread for the method. Option D. To log the method execution time. The correct answer is B. The at transactional annotation ensures that the code within the method is executed within a database. Transaction context. If the method completes successfully, the transaction is committed. If an unchecked exception is thrown, the transaction is automatically rolled back. Which language can you use to write scripts for the Spring Boot CLI? Option A, Groovy. Option B, Python. Option C, C++. Option D, Swift. The correct answer is A. The Spring Boot CLI command line interface allows you to create Spring applications using Groovy scripts. It simplifies the development process by removing much of the boilerplate code and managing dependencies automatically via grab. What is the application context in Spring? Option A. A file that contains system environment variables. Option B. The central interface to provide configuration information to the application. Option C. The database connection pool. Option D. The web server running the application. The correct answer is B. The application context is the advanced version of the Bean Factory. It is the Spring IOC container responsible for instantiating, configuring, and assembling beans. It also provides features like internationalization support and event publishing. Which annotation allows a method to handle post requests? Option A, at getExchange. Option B, at post mapping. Option C, at submit mapping. Option D, at update mapping. The correct answer is B. At post mapping is a composed annotation that acts as a shortcut for at request mapping. Method equals request method. Post. It is cleaner and more descriptive for defining RESTful endpoints that handle data creation. What is the default embedded server in a Spring Boot starter web application? Option A, Jetty. Option B, Undertow. Option C, Tomcat. Option D, Netty. The correct answer is C. By default, Spring Boot Starter Web includes Apache Tomcat as the embedded servlet container. However, Spring Boot is flexible and allows you to switch to Jetty or Undertow by simply changing the dependencies in your pom.xml or build. Gradle. What does @mockbean do in a Spring Boot test? Option A. It creates a real database connection. Option B. It adds a mock object to the Spring application context. Option C. It prevents the application from starting. Option D. It marks a test as ignored. The correct answer is B. @mockbean is a Spring Boot specific annotation that creates a Mockito mock and adds it to the application context. If a bean of the same type already exists in the context, it is replaced by the mock. This is useful for isolating the component you are testing from its real dependencies. Which interface should you extend to get basic CRUD operations and pagination in Spring Data JPA? Option A. CRUD repository. Option B. JPA repository. Option C. Paging and sorting repository. Option D. All of the above. The correct answer is B. JPA repository extends paging and sorting repository, which in turn extends CRUD repository. Therefore, by extending JPA repository, you get all the CRUD methods, pagination, sorting capabilities, and JPA-specific methods like flushing the persistence context. Which annotation is used to enable caching in a Spring Boot application? Option A, at cacheable. Option B, at enable caching. Option C, at start cache. Option D, at use cache. The correct answer is B. To use Spring's caching abstraction, you must first add enable caching to one of your configuration classes, usually the main class. Once enabled, you can use annotations like @cacheable, @cacheput, and @cachevict on individual methods. Which Spring Boot starter would you use for working with RabbitMQ? Option A, Spring Boot Starter JMS. Option B, Spring Boot Starter AMQP. Option C, Spring Boot Starter Rabbit. Option D, Spring Boot Starter Messenger. The correct answer is B. RabbitMQ implements the AMQP, Advanced Message Queuing Protocol. Therefore, the Spring Boot Starter AMQP is the correct dependency to include. It provides the Rabbit template and other necessary components to interact with RabbitMQ brokers. That wraps up our 30-question deep dive into Spring Boot interview preparation. How many did you get right? Let us know your score in the comments. If you found this helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe for more technical interview guides. It really helps the channel. For the full practice exam and a deeper dive into these topics, check the link in the description below.